Right, chaps. Don't you just love summer? Come back from PE now, and just couldn't resist. I'm taking my little guy, my little boat, and I've come just opposite the Kransies here. I'm sitting on the shallow bank. I'm looking at the water now. It's littered with prawn holes and old grunter snorts. And I know that I'm casting into a very gradual drop off here. And what's on the menu today is obviously a grunter. And the other night I came up here, I finished off one of my sessions, and I got one grunter. I might put that photograph up in the corner. And I had lots of swirls. A lot of grunter were sort of right behind the lure. Came up and actually had a couple on-offs. They weren't really committing to the lure. It's one of those evenings where I'm sure that if I had assist hooks on the back of the top water, I would have probably snagged quite a few more grunts. But what really excited me, here comes a big boat. What really excited me is I had a nice big cob. When I say nice big, I'm yet to catch a decent cob on game 2. So I got one of probably about a kilogram, and I got one of about 300 grams on top water. With the amount of top water that I do for grunter, I mean, I should have had a cob by now, but I'm trying to concentrate more on these drop-off areas. But anyway, I had a cob come up and actually have I think it was three goes at the lure. And on the third one, he obviously rolled over the line, and it pulled down pretty hard, and I thought, yo, I've got him. But he didn't connect to the lure, and I think he just rolled his body over the line, pulled the lure down and pulled the rod down. But that really excited me, and that was on round about now, just as the sun was starting to go down. So now we are officially just past neap tide, so there's not a hell of a lot of current happening here, and I haven't seen a single grunter even show that they're here. But I'm going to persist, and I'm throwing into much deeper water than what I normally would for grunts. So I'm probably casting into about shoulder deep water there. And I'm just working it back onto the shallow bank. As I said, right by the boat here, it's knee deep. It's knee deep. And I'm working it a little bit faster than what I normally would for a grunt, but not overly fast. There's a lot of talk. I've done a lot of reading about what the right speed is for a cob. Some guys say slow with pauses. Some guys say work it slowly. Some guys say work it. So I'll go as I go along. But I'm hoping that I can do a repeat of the other night and get a nice cob on the line. There's not too many boats. I had one boat pass me just now. I see there's a boat anchored up from me. He's drifting for grunts. And I had another boat, but he's pulled up on the opposite bank there. So I know from years of fishing game 2s that the cob come onto this bank. They come onto this bank quite a bit actually, but that's normally when there's more mullet in the river. As I said, we've just off neap tide, and there would not have been lots of mullet coming in. And my theory always, we're in shallow water here, and it's obviously the sun is busy setting in the west there. So this is the bank along this whole stretch, which is it's the largest shallow bank here, and the mullets obviously aggregate on this bank, especially just on the turn of the tide, but mostly in the evenings anyway, and they're getting the last rays of the sun. And I've been opposite the fig tree spot is just over there. I've been on this bank over the years, especially on a Sunday evening once all the boat activity is finished, and I've watched cob come into the shallow water. Man, it looks like there's a man in his snorkel and tanks diving here as they chase mullet, but into the banks here. And there's also a lot of flatfish. There's the other night when I was up here, there were 2 diamond rays also busy working, and those that think diamond rays don't chase mullets and catch mullets, they've got another thing coming. I've seen them catch mullets on this bank numerous times. So I've seen nothing today. Normally I would have seen especially this time of the year, I would have seen a diamond or 2 and a couple of grunts tailing, but it is dead calm. There's almost no movement in the water, so it's not prime time. But let me it's either that or sit at home. So I thought I'd come out for probably, I've got about 2 hours. I'll fish to just until I lose the light. I don't have night lights on this boat, and I'm hoping that I can test my new measure mat. Have a look at that stunning little thing. I don't know if it'll come up on this camera, but I put a little measure mat, an EVA measure mat on this boat. So I'm hoping to break that in. Let's see what happens. Hopefully the next time I switch on this camera, it's either with a nice grunter, which I won't be sorry for, or that beautiful elusive top water game 2's cob. Let's see what happens. Alright, there we go guys. didn't take too long, a little grunter smacked me here close to the boat. Oh, I just love these guys. Not the cob I was hoping for, but I'll take a grunter any day of the week. They always love the boat. They always love the boat. He snatched me up here right by the boat. Woo! Woo! Oh, there we go, guys. Look at that. Stunning little fish. Stunning little fish. I'm not going to use the net, guys. I can see it's very well hooked. Watch that rod tip. And there he is. A nice little grunt. I'm just going to swing the boat out of the camera there. Alright, folks. That didn't take too long. I've had about 10 or 15 casts. And this nice little guy came along and said, "How's it?" Nice little grunt. So the sun's right in my eyes there, but there's a nice little grunt. Came and said, "How's it?" to that bone white Sure Strike topwater. Guys, if you haven't got one of these on your boat, get one on your boat, because I tell you what, they catch fish, and they catch lots of them as well. There we go, guys. Have a look at that pretty thing. Something else, I see this one is hooked quite neatly on the center. He actually rose up very slowly. I saw the swirl. Came up and he scoffed it beautifully. What we're going to do, chaps, I've advertised these enough on my channel. As I said, this one is rusted to hell and gone, but just watch this. Clamped on, turned out. Oh, let's get it clamped on. There we go. Turned out, and this is how easily you remove a treble hook. Look at that. Safe in your hands. You can now put that down and not worry about anything. There we go, guys. A nice little grunter. What a way to end off a wonderful Thursday. Let's get this guy back in the water. Whoops. Whoops. Well, he's back in the water. Let's see if there's another one waiting for us. Okay, so where I actually caught that grunter now was exactly where I was the other evening when that cob came up and had a couple of goes from my lure. I've come off the main bank. Kransies is behind me here. This little area behind here is the Kransies. And I don't know if you'll pick it up. There's a beautiful current line that wraps around this bank. Now, right in front of the Kransies, right in front of the fig tree is quite a pinch. Got a bum cheek coming out in two sort of bays. And the fig tree is right opposite that. And that bank is quite large. So it extends for probably about 20 or 30 meters, and it drops down very, very fast. Probably about a meter or two every 3 or 4 meters until it drops in front of the fig tree to about 6 or 7 meters on the high. Now, what I've done is I've come just off that bank. There's an old wooden slab there which folks used to have a picnic on, and this is the exact spot that I was on the other day. Just had a little bit of interest behind the lure there. Small fish, small little grunt. And here I know that the bank, because I fished this bank from the side quite a bit. I only live about 500 meters down the road here on the bank, and I fished this bank on foot quite a bit, whereas you can walk probably 20-30 meters out there. Here you're about 20 steps and you start dropping off. So as I said, I'm in 1.9 meters of water here, and I'm putting the lure at an angle, so I'm fishing the first quarter of my retrieve in sort of knee to waist deep water, and that's where I picked up that grunter. But the other night, just on that aggressive drop off, is where the cob came up and had a look at my lure. So we call it superstition. Fishermen are fishermen. You know, you never catch the same fish on the same spot. But I've come back to exactly where I was the other evening. I've dropped anchor, and I'll make about 20 or so casts here. Grunter do move up and down, so eventually a little shoal of grunter will come past and have a go at that lure. But I want to work this bank as quick as possible, so I'll lift the anchor from time to time, get out my foldable oar, and just keep myself on this current line, about 2 meters, 3 meters off that drop off, and hopefully we can do a repeat of the other evening, except this time, get that little treble hook squarely in the scissors of a nice cob. If it doesn't happen tonight, I've got the whole summer. I'll be away in Cape Town for the next week or so. But when I get back from Cape Town, I'll have a family member, my brother in fact, staying with me for the month of December. My fishing's going to be a bit limited, but I'll get out every chance I get. But this is what I'm going to do every other evening until I managed to get that juicy Kob on a nice top water. The action I'm doing now, there's a bit of wind on the water, so it's making a bit of a chop. So normally with the grunts down by the mouth, I like to just cast in my lure and let it drift along in the current, and then just give it a little poke every now and then, just so it gets those little ball bearings and the lure pushing water on the surface, just so when that grunt is looking up, he sees a bit of action there. It looks like a little injured bait fish swimming on the water. But when the water's a bit rippled like this, and on the section that doesn't have much flow, I'll work it. I'll do sort of 3 or 4 walk the dogs, and then I'll rest it just for a second. And it's normally, I've had bites on those little walk the dogs, but it's normally on that rest that you'll get that first swirl. And that's always a good indication that a grunt has come up. It's come up off the bottom, so he's definitely interested in that lure. He's not quite sure what it is, and that's when you tease him onto the line. Guys often ask me in the shop when I say tease, I say, well, then I give it a little erratic poke. If you watch the rod action, I'll just give it little taps like this so that it moves a bit erratic. And inevitably, you might get 1-2 attempts at it, a swirl, and you'll come up. And sometimes you hear that slurp as he tries to suck in that injured bait fish in his mind. It's so exciting. Sometimes they come up, I always call it the submarine take. Sometimes they come up behind that lure. He comes up and he lifts about I suppose about just less than a quarter of his body up, making a nice big bow wave behind your lure. And man, when you see his dorsal fin come up, you know he's going to slob that top water. And even there, they can be as gentle as anything, or sometimes they come and they hammer it. And then the one that we off, well, I don't like it, but some guys love it, is when they just come out of nowhere. You're busy retrieving your lure, doing your thing, and next minute, wow, there's just a massive explosion on the surface, and you're on. And I find normally there you can hit that grunter just about anywhere. Sometimes it's on the tail, sometimes it's across the body, across the head, and every now and then you get him in the mouth. But that's a far more aggressive strike. I have all my theories as to why you get the 3 different strikes. The end result is the same, it's a grunter on the line, but I love teasing onto the lure, and I love what I call the submarine take. That's the one I live for. There's nothing better than seeing that fish follow your lure, sometimes for a meter, and then all of a sudden he just fires himself up like a Dorado lighting up. You just see those fins rise up and you hear that. That's fuss. Grunter fishing can be very exciting. You know, in Gamtoos we battle to get the big ones. I often get them in those 30s and 40s. I've caught a 76, I've caught one, and I would love to get a nice snorter. My largest grunter on bait in this river is an 82, but I'd love to get one of those meter-long jobs. I've seen them in the river. They say a big buck becomes big because he knows what a hunt is about, and I say the same for a grunter. They get that big because they know what we're doing, but his day will come. Let's see what happens. I'm losing the light. The sun is about whoop, there was a nice swirl. There's a lot of small grunts here, a lot of small grunts. Sometimes it's stumpies, sometimes it's mullets that come up and they just have a look at that lure. It was quite a nice swirl. I thought that was a submarine, but it lost interest. We're losing the light. I'm about one hand off the horizon. There's a southeaster that's picked up a bit here now. That's why I put out the anchor. I was drifting a little bit fast. This is prime time. Prime time on Gamtoos. Let's see what happens. Right, guys. So I'm busy losing the light now. The sun has set. Due for a little bit of rain in the Eastern Cape. It was supposed to have come earlier, but it looks like it might come this afternoon. So no more grunters. I had some baitfish being chased up here. There's gill cristilla all around the boat here, and I've had 1 or 2 little chases from small garrick just off the drop off. But only that one little grunter came up and said hello. I've had a couple of small little guys. You know, I could see that there were little guys come up and take a sneak peek at the top water, but just that one. I'm going to fish on a little bit. I'm here, so I'm going to fish on a little bit, but I think as far as filming goes, I'll probably lose the light in about 5 or 10 minutes. But yeah, this is what you can do. You know, a little boat like this, get out there. Beats sitting on the couch. So I'm glad I came out. I got that one little grunter. I had 2 or 3 risers, but only one committed onto the lure. It seems that cob didn't come along this evening, but it's not over. It's not over till the fat lady sings. So let's see what happens. Hopefully I'll check in some bad light with a nice, whoops, and there's a nice grunt. Just, let's see if we can tease him on. That looked like a bit of fish. I've just changed spots. I've just moved about 20 meters down the bank. That was a nice little grunt actually. Came up and did one of those kamikazes I wasn't watching. But yeah, if I get another one, I'll come back and I'll film it in some bad light. Let's see what happens. Whoops. Oh. These are small fish, guys. They actually pulled the lure down. Let's get another shot in there. Who knows? Let's get another shot in. Right. There we go. One more little guy. Oh, the light's still good. This little grunter hit the water. He's coming in at a rate of knots. Ah, little guy. Little guy. Right. And there you go. Brings the tally to 2 this evening. Also on the middle hook. I was just about to call it a day. I thought I'll have one more shot at them. And this was the result. Oh, nice little grunter. There we go. I was hoping you'd do a few grunts. He's saying, good evening. What am I doing outside? Let's get this hook out. Get him back into the water. Alright guys, I can't emphasize how easy it is with these little forceps. No getting near the hooks. Look at that. We'll clamp the lure on, stick it down there. As easy as that. Nice little grunter. Grunting away, grunting away. Let's get him back in the water. Almost home. Let's see if there's another one waiting for us. Oh. Guys, pop into Trophy Tackled In. Get an unrusted pair. I've got lots in stock. They're cheap and they'll save hooks in fingers. And obviously take out a treble hook without damaging any fish. These things are invaluable to an outdoor angler, especially on trebles. Alright, let's see if there's another one. Slightly bigger one. The aim was a cob. But hell, I'll take those little grunts all day long. Right chaps, don't be fooled by the camera light. It's now officially getting dark on Gamtoos. I don't have running lights on this boat. I've gone on the drift. I caught that extra little grunter. And I've had about 10 last casts. And I think this will be my last one. Tight lines from Gamtoos, and I hope you guys have learnt a few little tricks about catching Gamtoos grunter on top water.